Alright, so the Lions, we got another game this week, and for the Lions, it's their first division matchup of the season. So for the Lions this week, they're taking on the Minnesota Vikings. So an NFC North showdown this week for the Vikings. And with the way the standings are, every team in the NFC North is tied for the lead. So we have a four-way tie. So this game more than likely could be for the lead in the NFC North. So a big game for the Lions this week. And a big division matchup because you always want to win these division matchups. So for this game, the current point spread for the game, it has the Vikings favored in this game by 5.5 points. So nearly a whole 6 points. God damn. Minnesota, they lead the all-time series against Detroit 79-40-2. And Minnesota, they've had Detroit's number, winning 8 of the last 9. Of course, 8 of those games were all in a row until last year in Detroit when Detroit got their first win of the year against the Vikings on the final play of the game. So yeah, Detroit, this is going to be the Lions' first road game of the season. Of course, last year the Lions were very dog shit on the road. Didn't even win a single road game last year. As the Lions last year on the road, they went 0-8-1. Oof. Of course, the Vikings, they're 1-0 at home this year. The only home win came in the Week 1 matchup against Green Bay. So yeah, but for Detroit, if Detroit really wants to be serious about contending and winning games, they got to learn to win on the road now. Because last week, they were able to finish a game. Now they got to go out not only win against division foes, they also got to win the division matchups. They got to win the games on the road, too. So, of course, for the Vikings offense, the QB for the offense, of course, is Kirk family member Cousins, who's not a good QB, but he's not a bad one at the same time. He's okay, somewhere in the middle. And, of course, the running back tandem, you have Dalvin Cook up there, and you have the top fullback in the league in C.J. Ham. The receiving core is led by Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen, and Jefferson's one of the top receivers in the league. You also got KJ Osborne in there along with Jalen Reagor. And at tight end, you got one of the top deep threat tight ends in Irv Smith Jr. So yeah, the Vikings still got the same amount of playmakers on that offense. Now the Vikings defense, they have some good pieces on this defense too. The defense, anchoring the defensive line, you got Harrison Phillips and Delvin Tomlinson anchoring that D-line. On the edge, you got Danielle Hunter and former Green Bay Packers Zadarius Smith. The linebacking core is anchored by Eric Kendricks and Jordan Hicks. And in the secondary, you have Patrick Peterson, Chandler Sullivan, and Cameron Dantzler in the corners. They also got Andrew Booth, but he's questionable for this game since he has a quad injury. So we'll have to check on his status. And the safety core, the safety core is led by Harrison Smith, but he's questionable for this game since he's under the NFL concussion protocol. But I expect Harrison Smith to be cleared in time for that game. So yeah, I expect Harrison to be playing Sunday. And of course, beside Harrison, of course, is rookie Lewis Cine. Or Cine. Yeah, I think it's Cine. So, sorry if I mispronounce it, folks. It's a bit of a tongue twister. Okay, I'm human, I make mistakes. Anyway, continuing on topic, the head coach for the Vikings, of course, is a rookie head coach in his first season, and Kevin O'Connell, who used to be the offensive coordinator for the Los Angeles Rams, so he's worked under the systems of Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay. So yeah, pretty good resume there. So yeah, and the offensive coordinator, you got Wes Phillips. And the defensive coordinator, you got Ed Donatel. So a pretty solid staff there. The Vikings offense last year, will be the last week I use rankings from last year. Since it's too early in the season to use rankings from this year. But starting next week, I'll be using this year's rankings. So of course, last year the Vikings offense was pretty okay. As the Vikings offense was ranked 12th last year. They were 11th in the passing game. But then they struggled in the run game, being mid-pack and 7th with the 17th best rushing attack. So, is Dalvin Cook slowly starting to regress since running backs usually have a pretty short life before they regress? Time will tell there. Plus the Vikings have been kind of rebuilding their offensive line the past couple years. But the Vikings defense was not that hot last year. The Vikings defense was ranked 30th. Oof. Yeah, they had the third worst defense in the league. The Vikings defense was 28th against the pass last year, and they were 26th against the run last year. So I think obviously the keys to winning this game is feed Swift the ball, take advantage of the run game that the Lions the Lions now have after 2 games, as they've been rushing that ball very well. I believe they have one of the top rushing offenses in the league right now. Hell, they even have the second best, tied for the second best scoring offense after 2 weeks, being 1 point behind the Buffalo Bills, but tied with the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, hey, after 2 weeks, if your offense is on par with the Bills and the Chiefs, you're doing something right. That's for damn sure. So, yeah, just take advantage and just run that ball. Get the ball to Amon-Ra and Hawkinson, and maybe try and get some passes with Shark in there, too. And honestly, the defense, they just have to play the same way they played the first half last week. But this time, the defense needs to do that for a whole 60 minutes. Like, because the defense played well the first half. The second half, they kind of got a little banged up, though. Plus, second half, you had Hutchinson and Okudah both go down. Okudah with heat cramps. And I believe they said Hutchinson pulled something in the groin or the quad since he was limping, but he still powered through and was still making plays. So, yeah, that'll be something to keep an eye on. But, yeah, defense, though, they just got to learn to play a full 60 minutes. At least the offense did their job, but, yeah, just do what you did against the Washington, the first half from last week, and just try and do it for 60 minutes against the Vikings, and the Lions could be in good shape. I mean, this game, it all really depends on which version of Kirk Cousins we get. Are we going to get the Kirk Cousins that does well against pretty bad teams, or the Kirk Cousins that doesn't do well against good teams? I think it really depends what Kirk Cousins we get. That's going to be the big factor in this game. Which version of Kirk Cousins is going to show up? But I think I'll say this, with the way the Vikings O-line been rebuilding, the Lions need to take advantage of that and get that pass rush right in there to Kirk Cousins. Get as much pressure to him as you can. Because we saw the first half last week, they were able to get pressure to Carson Wentz, and Wentz folded. Until the second half when they made some proper adjustments. So yeah, they just got to get pressure to Kirk Cousins and take advantage of it. But overall, though, this game is going to be a tough one. I know a lot of people are sleeping on the Vikings because they got blown out Monday against Philadelphia. That does not mean a goddamn thing. Every fucking team matches up differently against other teams in the league. Alright, not every team matches up the same. So yeah, this is going to be a tough game. I think this game's going to be very tough. Like, this is a 50-50 game. Like, it's been tough for me to decide which one I was going to have this week. Like, at one point, I had the Lions winning this game. Then I had the Vikings winning this game. And I've been back and forth on it. Because both the Lions and Vikings are pretty dead even. Like, both teams are built nearly the same. But overall, if I have to give any team a slight edge right now, I would have to say the Vikings right now. It's going to be a tough game. Like I said, like at the start of the year, in the predictions, I said I had the Lions and the Vikings splitting the season series this year. And usually for the season splits, I usually go with whichever team was home. So for this one, I'm going to stick with what I had at the beginning of the year, and I'm going to say the Vikings will win this game. Going to be a tough one, but I think the Vikings will win this one. And if you want a score prediction, well, I did some research. And for this one, I'm going to say the Vikings win this game 22-18. I think it's going to be a very close game. I could see it being mainly a defensive game. Because the moment you start shitting on both defenses, then both of them come out to play. But yeah, I'm going to say this is going to be a close one, but I got the Vikings winning by 4. I mean, hey, last week I had the Lions winning against Washington by 6, and they won by 9. I don't know, maybe Detroit proves me wrong this week and pulls off the upside. I mean, obviously I'm going to be hoping for the Lions to win the game. Because obviously I want the Lions to go out and try and win every game, but realistically, I think this one goes to Minnesota. Gonna be a close one, but I got the Vikings 22-18. Gonna be close, but I think the Vikings will edge out the Lions. Plus, add in the fact that Detroit hasn't won in Minnesota since 2017. Like, Lions haven't won in Minnesota in 5 years. I mean, at some point, that's bound to change, but, you know, I mean, it's really tough to... I can't really get a quick gauge on what Minnesota's going to be. If Minnesota's going to be a playoff contender or if they're going to be a mid-pack team. Like, to be perfectly honest, I think the Vikings are probably a year or two away from blowing the whole thing up. Because the writing's on the wall that the Vikings need to fully go to a full rebuild. Because the Vikings, they're not going to get it done with what they got right now. Like, at bare most, they probably just make it into a wild card round and then get beat by a chip playoff contender in the first round. I mean, it's really tough. I just can't get a gauge on what this Minnesota team is, but I'm just going to play it safe this week and say the Vikings win at home against Detroit. Obviously, I'm hoping to be wrong, but I feel like Minnesota takes this one. But yeah, anyway, that's my preview for this week. So yeah, this will be an interesting game Sunday. Can the Lions pull off the upset? Or did the Vikings get another one on Detroit? But yeah, anyway, that's all I gotta say, and I'll see you all whenever I make next. I'm out. Peace.